Day 2 on the Gator, and I'm extending the loom. I've had to try and match up the wire thicknesses, make sure it's got the right ampage cable. Only thing is I've got 2 colours that match, and that's purple on the thinner stuff and white on the thicker stuff. I'm only saying that for reference so you can see what I mean when I'm doing it. So I started extending it, and I've malfunctioned today. Get halfway through a sentence and then forget what I'm talking about. What on earth is going on? Anyway, I'm going to set you up. And then I'm going to extend all these wires. So all I'm doing, I've extended the Gator 1200mm, 1.2 meters. So I'm just going to put 1.2 meters of wire in the middle. So the join will be roughly here, and then just through there, which I'll be able to get to because I've got to transfer these seat boxes across. Once I've done that, because that's going to be hard threading all them plugs through, doing that now while it's easy access, and then I'll start making framework for the front set of seats so I can transfer all the diff lock and the gear lever, handbrake, move that forward, which I'm not really looking forward to, but it's got to be done. So because I'm using the same colour, well, I've only got 2 colour wires that I can use. Best practice is to always use the same colour of wire for what you're joining. Reason being, for diagnostics purposes really, more than anything. So if you get a break up there on the yellow, well they're saying orange and white stroke wire, you can look further here, find out where that goes to, and then trace it for diagnostics. However, I haven't got that luxury, and as this isn't for a customer, let's say, it's for Tim, it will do, because I'll be the one that's working on this, so I'll have to persevere if that is the case. So fingers crossed I get it all right first go, and then I've got no worries. I've already started doing the food, just get my head around what I was, the approach. So them ones there you can see, heat shrink joins in there, and then when I'm done I'm going to put some conduit over it to protect it all. I'm trying to stagger all the joints so to keep it as thin as possible for the conduit. While I'm doing this, I'll give you an update on keeping the trade alive, I guess. So, as I've discussed previously, my son has started a college course, engineering, and he's now got to do a work placement where he has to do X amount of hours over the course of his year at a work placement. So he asked me if he could come here. Me being the kind, caring father that I am, said no. Because I don't want everything handed to him on a plate. I want him to work for stuff so he understands the grind that has to go in. I know people says, cool, that's a bit mean, isn't it? No, I don't think it is. I think it does good to teach them. If they want a job, they have to work hard for it to go find one. They can't just go, oh, will you give me a job? Yeah, okay. No, you have to dedicate it. So I'll give him time. He did go around asking companies. He was looking at places which was a bit far away, and it was either going to have to be me or his mum take him every time he wanted to go over there, and it was a bit far. It was probably, what, would have worked out 3 hours worth of travelling a day. So, because he'd put the grind in and the hard work, I said to him, right, you can come here now, because I knew he'd work for it, so he understood the hardships, and he did spend a lot of time trying to find somewhere as well. So with that, I've got the college here tomorrow, so I've got paperwork to sign off. No doubt they'll want to make sure that he's going to a company as such. So, as expected, very tricky. So to get all this loom back up the front here, I've got to go through that hole, and that's all boxed in through there. And if you remember, I had to move that steering rack out of the way because for some reason they brought the loom over this way when it would have been better coming around here, clipping it on here and round that way. So that's exactly the way I'm going to put it back. So I've threaded that TIG rod through there to there because there's some obstacles in the way there, box section that runs across inside there, so it's going to give me a lot of hassle on the loom taped to the end of the TIG rod. Just like that. There you have. So now I'll take the tape back off. So with the looming done, I've now got to try and make the upright stands for the seats at the front, which I'm going to try and imitate that as much as I can. And when that bed's down, that bed comes down to about here, I'm going to extend that out there to make it more proportionate. So all these gear levers, everything, I've got to move up here with this. So I've just got to transfer this or replicate this 1.2 meters further forward, and then that'll be in the right place. And then I might cut this handrail off and weld that on the framework, and then I can start making all these brackets in here that hold all these levers, transfer them across on the new bit. So what I'm going to start off with, there's a bit of box section in there at the bottom, exactly 803mm long, which is what this is. So I've measured from the front there 1200, which is that line there and that line there. Now, personal preference for me, a box section will have a seam run through it where it's I don't know if you'll see that. See that seam in there? Now I think that looks ugly, so I always try and put that to the inside or where it won't be seen. So even if it's on the inside, if it's been seen, try and move it where it won't be seen. These chassis rails I put in here are about 6mm lower than these ones, so that won't come by, which is absolutely fine because that works out perfect for me. So just going to get a tack on. So from this floor height, 285mm. 285 deduct 40, so that's 245mm. We've got to come up. Now I'm using 30 by 30 box to put on top there, so that is, what's that, 50 by 30. Now I'm just using up all my old offcuts and scrap because I don't want to use all the decent stuff up, and then when a customer job come in I've got nothing to use, so I'm just using up odds and ends. Right, I'm just going to get my magnet, my square magnet, so I can stick it on there, get it all squared up and ready to go, then I'll come back to you. Here's the setup with the magnet. So the magnet will hold it square that way, and this way I can see that's leaning back, so if I tack it here and here, then I'll be able to bend it, run a straight edge up there bring it straight and then tack the back edge, and I know that'll be spot on. So I'll sit you up there and you should be able to see that going down. Move on to the next one, seam at the inside again. Because I'm now replicating this back bar and this, so they got pressings on here. I'm not going to use pressings, I'm going to use some 50 by 30 box section, which will work. Go on a bit of 50 by 30 box there. So how long has this been going on? Right, so we've got 814 now, I'll make that. A bit of box across it is at the back, 814. And then from the front, yeah, so to the box from there, 400 mil. So we've got to take off 30, so that's 370. 370. 814 to go across the back here, 2 at 370, 1 to go there, 1 to go that side, and then 270 come from here down. Both sides, and that'll be the basic structure for the seat. Then I can cut off these handles, scallop in there where it's going to sit. It'll come across the top here, up here, around here, down here, and then weld back to it there, just like it is there. Cut all my box sections, I've got them all prepped. I've just tacked that on there, and then thought, oh, I'm supposed to be filming this. Debating whether I was going to have, so we have a box section across there, I was debating, and that was going to be the stand. Debating whether to put it there so you got more foot room here for the people sitting behind. Or do I? Yes, I think I'm going to do it like that. I'll do the same the other side. It just leaves this back piece, which I think I can eyeball this up. Not crucial maybe. All looks good, so I'm going to go around now and just weld up what I can, because I've got to cut these front corners out to allow for this bit of handrail. Got that roughly welded up. When I say roughly, I mean rough. So I'm now going to cut that off. There, and there. And what I'm going to do is one at a time. So if I cut this side off, I can then use that side that's still on to reference measurements if needs be. And then once I've cut that off, I've got a scallop out of there, scallop out of there, and that's sitting there and weld up. Lovely. Back at another day, fresh trim, feeling better. My back ain't as bad. So I'm concentrating on moving these linkages for the old gear selector handbrake. I've got a bit carried away yesterday and just cut all the handles off and welded them on there. So it's looking, that'll fix on there. And I'm going to put the floor in it and the panels around the seats, do that the last thing. But anyway, I won't be doing much recording because I know Tim's in and out today, and I know how much you don't like him being in the videos. So I always say so. I've drawn the existing bracket up, and I've actually already drilled, cut and cleaned up the replacement ones. That's the bracket there, and that's the bracket there, which I'm going to make like that. So when I transfer it over, just give it a bit more strength. That will weld on there. That one for that side, that one for that side. Fully weld them in there, and then the bar and linkage will all fit in there. I'm all set up ready to go. You'll notice that they're a lot different. I've made these a bit more heavy duty for the reason of the leverage that is going to be involved now, because the distance from there to, well, straight back in there now is a lot more. I didn't want to run the risk of them bending or being the weak point, so I've uprated them. I did realise I've got them all over here. They was both like that, but opposite hands. But then I looked closely and I thought the throw of, I don't know if you can see it in there, this rod that goes down might get close to the bracket if I leave it there. So trim that down, help us out as much as we can. The important measurement for me is inside, so I've measured from the outside there to the outside there. Then I've added the thickness of the angle on there, and then I've got 75mm in between. So I've marked all that out, that's all marked out underneath. I can get them done. Mind your eyes. And again. Let that cool down. Should we check it, see if the bolt still fits? Because when you weld, when you put the heat into it, it actually pulls it towards the heat. You should really account for that when you're setting it up on your tacking. But in this situation, don't need to, do I? Because I just know what's going to happen. Look at me being all confident and cocky now, I know that it fits. So I'm going to strip all this out, so I'm going to undo that bolt there. That's quite a long pin. Oh, look at that. Why? Why would you? Can't get the pin out because the diesel tank's in the way. Why wouldn't you put the pin in the other way round? And then you'd be able to get it out here. Sometimes I just don't get manufacturers. Scania's terrible for it. I believe Scania was designed by someone who didn't care less about any mechanic or engineer that's got to come in afterwards. Now Volvo, this is why I like Volvo so much, they seem to have thought about these things. I would say a Volvo was probably designed by an engineer who had an appreciation for, if something breaks and you've got to take it out, let's make it as easy as possible. Sorry, that's a bit of a side rant there. Anyway, bit of an update about the college. That seemed to have gone well. And I believe my son will now be here once a week on work placement, getting his hours in for his college course. He will be here once a week, so I can put him through his paces. I don't know what to do, whether have him with me or whether I'll set him his own little project to do while he's here and guide him through on it. Just make me a box, these dimensions, see what he comes up with, give him a bit of advice, or do I leave him to his own initiative? No matter what, I won't let him struggle. I just want to give him, he's got to find a bit of confidence with himself to go, yes, I think this is the right way of doing it. And the only way he's going to learn is by trying. A great quotation I see just yesterday, and I thought, yeah, if you was told you're 20 failures away from being successful, how hard would you try and fail then? You'd want to fail to get to that successful place. And I thought, it's a great mindset right there. You have to fail to appreciate the success at the end. If you just get the success at the end, you don't appreciate it. Same with learning. He needs to make mistakes on his own back so he can go, oh, I know I shouldn't do that because that could happen, and I don't want that because that's a headache later on. Anyway, should we crack back open the gate now? Where does that tank come out? I might be able to undo that tank and slide it that way, looking at that. Yeah, I'll see. I'll start undoing bolts and see what happens. Here we go. Just get the trusty disc cutter and go zip, zip. Because I'm going to extend this by, so this is the diff lock lever, so I'm going to cut that there, both sides, and I'm going to add 1200mm on here. Jeez, they don't make this easy. See that, I'm just trying to get this brake cable there at the bottom. So I took the clip out of there, but then the end, I'm going to sand all that up as well, put a bit of primer over that, and then I'll get that cable out, and then I'm going to come back to you because you're not going to be able to see me in there rooting around. Plus, I've always parked the lights over the top, so you've got the shadow, the handbrake over it all. So, come back to you when I'm all sorted. Alright, I'm trying to replicate a bracket, which is, I don't know if you can see it, it's real tricky. This bracket here is like a U-shaped channel with a hole and a slot in, and that's for the brake cable to go through. So the slot is for the cable to drop in, and then that goes in, and then you've got a circlip that clips around that little groove in there. I've welded a barrel to the end of the cable, and then I've got a bit of threaded bar through, so that's extending my, that's going to be a solid linkage. It goes in there to the old existing part, and then this is my diff lock linkage. Welded a bit of box on there which is 1200mm, the same as the extension, so that should all line up. So that little channel bracket that I'm trying to replicate, it is 60mm with some legs on it. So I was now doing it, so I thought, but I couldn't show you what was in there originally to show you how I was measuring it all out. So I've got it this far, so I've put the 14mm hole in, I've got a disc cutter slot there for the cable to drop in, then I'm going to cut this round up there, and then that will match the shape of what's in there at the minute, and then I can measure from the front of that one to there, 1200, tack that in, weld it round, paint her up. I've also put a little tab on there for the spring. That is for the diff lock. So it's all ready to start coming together, so I'll have a break. It's just my throttle cable. Really don't know how I'm going to do that. I think I need to get another cable and make something up. Don't know if I can get hold of a long cable, but we'll see. We will see. I'm now going to cut this out. I'll set the camera up so you sort of seeing what's going on. There it all is. There is better ways of cutting that out, you know, and just using a disc cutter for everything. Obviously, the ideal world, I'd know I'd need this bracket, I'd get it drawn up, and then I'd get it laser cut, and then I'd get it pressed. I ain't got time for that. I want to crack on there. And I've just looked at it and gone, oh, I need a new bracket. So I've made a new bracket. That's the thing with when you do a lot of bespoke stuff, you don't know what you need until you're actually there doing it. There's your 1200 from there to there, got the centre to there. She'll do. It's the next day at HQ and I thought I'd just jump on camera just so I could talk with you. I could do this in the workshop, however. I've got my son in there again, which I'll get onto in a minute. So yesterday I was working on the Gator. I recorded something, then I realised I'd painted it, primered it all, and I hadn't even explained that. I was a bit all over the place, you see, actually. I also dropped the boo-boo on the Gator, which Tim doesn't know about, but I'm fairly certain he's going to know about it now. But I've recovered from it, and I'll talk you through it. I got really stressed out, and I got quite upset with myself that I'd made the mistake. But one of them things, and then I just got my head down and I cracked on, because I was in a mood with myself. And I know that's not fair on you guys, because you like to follow it through, but I will talk you through. I was setting up a lot of stuff, and I'll talk you through what I was doing. And I know I don't normally like doing that. I like showing you as I'm doing it, but I say I like to revive this industry. I want more people getting involved in the HGV, fabrication, bodybuilding side of industry, and I want more people taking an interest in that side of things, because as I said before, AI will not replace your hands, and it is a good trade to be in. So, as I've explained before, my son has got a new engineering at college, and he's been looking for a work placement, which he has to do as part of his college course. Now, I think over the year, I might be wrong, it's about 60, 70 hours he's got to put in on his work placement. It's not much, but it's a start. So, as I explained before, I sent him on his way to go find it, because I don't want to hand him nothing on a plate. I feel you have to earn it to appreciate what you got. So he's now coming here. The meeting with the college went extremely well. That all got signed off, and he's able to come here. I know it's very bizarre, he's my son, but I have to have the college's permission for him to be here. Strange, I know, but for him to do his work placement, that's how it is, so I'm absolutely fine with that. So I feel it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is. I keep saying about the younger generation coming into the industry, so I needed someone here and see whether I can pass down my skills to someone. I'll be honest with you, I've really started feeling old this week. I've got real bad pains down my legs, in my back and all sorts. Really affecting me at the minute, so that's on a bit of a dare now, and then I'm thinking, God, how many more years of this industry have I got in me? But, you know, that's my own fault. I'm very old school in how I work, and I've probably not looked after myself, where, you know, if I'd probably taken a bit more care, I wouldn't be in the positions I'm in at the minute. But so I've got him in today. He's working away. I've had word with him. He's happy to be on camera. obviously he's going to be a bit shy around the camera, but I think it'd be nice for you guys to see his little journey with me, and maybe, you know, after he's done his work placements, he could come here on his days off college anyway, helping out, you know, and start learning. So I spoke to the college and I explained to him, I said, yes, there's a engineering, there's a fabrication course, you know, a welding fabrication course, and there's a motor mechanics course, but there's no HGV courses, and there's no course that really teaches you customization on trucks. It takes you through the whole journey of auto electrics. That's wiring up with all your lights and the do's and the don'ts, through to your do's and your don'ts on your fabrication and bodybuilding side, and the customization of catwalk, side skirts, things like that. There's no course that covers it all, which, you know, the college said, no, you are right, there isn't anything there. So, you know, we threw some ideas around the room, you know, and I think I've got a good plan. You know, I'd like to really push it, but I need to see what interest I can drum up. You know, I'll have to have the younger generation there wanting it for me to push it further to get the right courses in place. But at the minute, I'm using my son as a bit of a test pilot, see how he gets on his work placement. If that goes well, happy days, I know I'm moving in the right direction. He wants to be here, he loves it here. So we'll go see him in a minute. And I thought of a new name for him, because on this channel we don't tend to like calling people by their names. We all seem to have nicknames, you know. The Bengineer, that was made up by you viewers actually, and I think it's the first videos that I was in. The comments said his name's Ben and he's an engineer. Right, his new name is Bengineer, and that stuck. Obviously you got Trucker Tim, which is him, and then you got Plod. So, and then we had Norman the Storman. Little secret about Norman that most of you probably don't know, he's actually my eldest son. This one, I think I'm going to call him, I see someone in the comments have called him, well, they said, oh, it's good to see Ben and his son working. So I've told my son that he's now got a new name and it's called Benson. Combine the two together. And he went, yeah, I'm alright with that. I'm happy to be called Benson. That's what I'm going to call him from now on, Benson. And I've just realised I've nearly got a flat battery and I've waffled on for 8.5 minutes. That'll be some interesting viewing, won't it? I'll show you what I've done on the Gator, and then I'll explain the boo-boo I made on it. Can't hear no work being done. Getting metal. Getting metal. Getting metal. I'm chatting to the people.
Not work, is it?
Not work?
Yeah.
I think you find it is. It's extremely hard work. So here's where we're at with the Gator. A lot went on. A lot of modifications went on. So I sprayed this, you didn't realise, they just clip on, so just ignore that for a minute. So the boo-boo I made yesterday is, you'll see that hole that's in there was where that originally was. So I took the measurement from the top of that box to the pin centre, not realising that was a different size box. So what I should have done is took measurement from the bottom inside there up to the existing pin centre, which was, I think I was 50 mil out, so I had to lift it all up 50 mil because this bottom was hitting on this bracket. I'll continue now.
Sorry.
So I got that pivot point in, so that's the diff lock lever there. So I welded a bar in to the existing one, 1.2 metres long, which is what the extension is. On my brake cable, I made that bracket, welded that on, which I showed you, I believe. And then I put the cable in, so that's still the old cable. But then I had a barrel which I welded on the end, put a bit of threaded bar in, it goes all the way back, and that works. The brake still, so that the brake's all right and that works. And then this was the tricky one. This is the forward and reverse lever. What I've done is cut the end off the linkage there, got it in there, I welded a bit of threaded bar on there, I tacked it all up, and then I set it right with the plastic on. So the plastic I sat on here to get the gear lever in the right position in the neutral, and then I tacked it all up, made sure it worked. That does want a support on there just to keep that sort of central for that to go through, so it's not so floppy. But I shall get that done today. So, young Benson, I've explained that that is now your new name.
Brilliant.
How does it feel being the face of apprentices in the engineering trade now?
Feels great.
Feels great. So this is the awkward part. Camera. Younger generations getting into the game, they're going to be looking at you now, seeing how you get on and how I teach you and train you.
Oh, so I've got to make it look like you're doing a good job, do you?
You don't need to make it look like I'm doing a good job. You know, I'm a busy man. I'm over here all the time. It's hard, just a one-man band like myself, it's hard doing a job and teaching someone, but I'm trying to give it a go. Now, please don't become unteachable. No pressure. You've got food fairs and people watching you. Make sure you do a good job, yeah? I'll let them know if you're not. Just chuck that cover on, because I just need to make sure the gear selectors, diff locks work as they do. And then I thought, while it's on there, I shall work out seating position for the back row of seats. So thinking that plastic's going to get cut off along that line all the way along there, and then I'm going to have bar up here with a handrail on here for the back row of seats. I only have 2 seats in the back, so got that in there, and I think that'll be enough once I cut that along there. So I've got them measurements now, so what my plan is, I'm going to make the framework come off there, across there and up there, supported down with legs there. Am I going to go there? No, I'll probably have legs down on this corner. Then I'm just going to put a plate on there, so when I get a new seat, that will just bolt wherever I put the holes in there. Same on that side. So I think I will set you up in various positions, and probably will time lapse this through while I'm making these brackets.
Missing to your seat.
bit of an idea of what's going to look like. I've got seat there, I'll have a seat there, and then I'm going to make a centre console, floorboard and new runners, and I'm going to extend that bed, going to extend that out there, so put an extra foot and a bit in there. I can't get on with much more of it because I'm waiting for material, so I'm waiting for throttle cable, or what we're going to do with throttle cable. I'm waiting for material to put a new floor in it, and then I think I'm going to put a centre console in there as well, a couple of cup holders in there or something, and then that come here. But I've pretty much everything I've made on here, I've made out of offcut from my work bench, so what I've got under my workbench, but I've used everything up now. So let's see how Benson's got on his first day. How's your first day been?
Great, I'll be honest. A bit educational, a bit fun.
You enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, I'd say so. I've enjoyed myself.
So are you looking forward to coming back?
I'll come back.
I'll appreciate you'll come back. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. So the plan is, once a week on a Friday, you'll come into HQ to learn the ropes, and I'm going to just keep giving you the horrible jobs that I don't want to do.
Thank you.
No, I will teach you. So in the comments, any ideas what you'd like to see me training old Benson here? What would you like to see me teaching him how to do? Obviously it relies on what work I've got in currently in the workshop and what I'm going to be doing in the future, but I'm debating on whether just giving him a little project to do by himself, something like, you know, here's a box, I want to make me a box this dimension, this measurement, whatever. Toolbox even, make me a toolbox. Make some side lockers for a living trailer. That's a nice easy one. See you on the next one. Don't know if Benson will see you on the next one, but he'll see you when he sees you. Take care. Bye bye for now.